Blue Stickman crouches over a scorched patch of cave floor, sunglasses reflecting a single hanging light bulb, and mutters that something here does not add up. He snaps on a pair of tiny cartoon evidence gloves.
400,000 years ago, something burned in this exact spot, and the only question left is whether a person did it or the sky did.
A narrator's voice, clipped and procedural like a true crime investigator, cuts in and says every case starts the same way, with Ash, and Ash never talks. Blue Stickman turns to camera and deadpans that he did not expect his big cartoon origin story to open like a police procedural, but here they are. The narrator explains that scientists have spent decades trying to answer one maddeningly simple question, which is whether early humans actually controlled fire or just got lucky standing near one that lightning started. Blue Stickman holds up a piece of blackened bone like a detective holding up a bagged weapon and says,
The evidence looked airtight for years. Even the title card is unsure of itself.
That pinning down the first controlled fire matters because it likely reshaped diet, brain size, migration into cold climates, and basically everything that let humans become the animal that argues about pineapple on pizza.
I have never eaten a slice of pizza. Look at me, I'm just a stickman. I don't even have a stomach. And yet, I have incredibly strong opinions about it. Pineapple absolutely does not belong on it.
The investigation begins at Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, where researchers found ash and charred bone dating back roughly 1 million years, tucked so deep inside the cave that wind or wild water could not have carried it there naturally.
This is either humanity's oldest kitchen or the world's least convenient place for lightning to strike.
The narrator notes that surface fracturing on nearby stone matched exactly what fire does to rock, which sounds like a slam dunk case closed moment.
I love a slam dunk. He lives for a slam dunk. He lives for a slam dunk. Please let this be the slam dunk.
Then the narrator delivers the twist that plenty of other famous first fire sites did not hold up under closer forensic testing at all.
Wait, we are doing a twist already? We just started.
The narrator explains that one heavily cited European site, long treated as the best proof of early controlled fire, was re-examined with modern lab techniques including infrared spectroscopy and detailed mineral analysis. Blue Stickman puts on a tiny lab coat over nothing, because he has no clothes to begin with, and squints into a cartoon microscope. The results, the narrator says flatly, showed no convincing evidence that humans were involved at all, meaning the celebrated hearth might have just been a very well-behaved wildfire.
That is the cartoon equivalent of finding out your family heirloom is from a gift shop.
Here is the part nobody tells you when they show you those confident museum diagrams of a caveman proudly tending a fire, the narrator says, leaning into the mid-episode rehook. Most of those scenes are artistic guesses dressed up as settled fact. Blue Stickman turns to the audience directly and asks whether they think this counts as one of history's biggest cases of fake it till you make it, or whether early humans deserve the benefit of the doubt, and he tells them to pick a side and type it in the comments below. The narrator steps back into procedural mode and says, "The reason this is so hard to prove is that wildfires and campfires can leave nearly identical residue. Ash is ash, charcoal is charcoal, and a forest fire has no idea it is ruining somebody's thesis."
Even I cannot tell them apart. And I was standing right here the whole time.
The narrator introduces the real hero technique, micromorphology, which lets scientists study fire evidence at a microscopic level to see whether ash was deposited neatly in one place, the way a tended fire behaves, rather than scattered the way flames tear through in a wildfire.
That sounds less like archaeology and more like forensic accounting for tiny burnt crumbs.
site called Qesem Cave in Israel, the narrator continues, researchers found the cave floor practically packed with wood ash and burned bone fragments, so dense and so repeated over time that most experts agree this looks like consistent, ongoing fire use rather than one lucky lightning afternoon.
Finally. A fire I can trust.
The narrator clarifies that even here, actually proving humans struck the spark, rather than simply kept an existing one going, remains its own unsolved mystery, because keeping a fire alive and starting one from scratch may have been two very different skills, learned at two very different times. Blue Stickman throws his hands up and says, humanity apparently mastered, "Please do not let the fire go out," long before it mastered, "How do we even make one of these?" The narrator says this is where the case gets almost absurd, because in some regions the timeline suggests fire use spread across huge stretches of the ancient world at roughly the same geological moment, which some researchers read as one of the earliest examples of cultural knowledge spreading between separate groups of early humans.
That means fire may have gone viral before there was anything to go viral on.
The narrator agrees that is a fair, if deeply cursed, way to put it. Blue Stickman turns back to the chalk outline, now looking less like a crime scene and more like the world's oldest group project, and says humanity's first big invention might not have been one genius moment, but a slow, patchy, occasionally faked group effort. The narrator delivers the takeaway plainly that the popular image of an ancient human proudly inventing fire in a single triumphant instant is mostly a comforting story, and the real answer is messier, slower, harder to prove, and still being argued about by scientists with very expensive microscopes.
If there is one thing to walk away with, it is this, that even science's oldest, most iconic stories are still open cases.
Just as he says this, a soft crackling sound starts behind him, and he turns to see a second, smaller pile of ash on the cave floor that was definitely not there a second ago. He looks back at the camera very slowly and says, "He didn't do that. He has been standing right here this whole time,